What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, back with episode 8 of VHS Graveyard, the show where we talk about movies in my collection, how I got them, what they mean to me, sort of the story behind the tape. Because at one point, VHS collecting was like a big part of my life. I was actively going out into the thrift stores, hunting tapes all the time. I would basically buy anything that was remotely horror, and that's why I ended up with so much bullshit that I ended up having to get rid of. But what I've got left in my collection, what you see on the shelf here, and there's a few piles over there, but basically a few more bags downstairs that need to come up, and this is it. So I want to cover the Universal monster flicks because these are sort of some of the gateway horror films in my life. Like, I can specifically remember watching these movies at my dad's place when I was a kid, you know, huddled around a fucking big ass bowl of popcorn, glass of pop, and you know, just watching these old movies. And I feel like I lucked out in a sense that, like, I really got that last sort of hurrah of the video store era. Like, I remember going to the video store, not so much with my dad. We would go to variety stores or corner stores. I have to point that out because one time I said variety store, and I think my friend Forrest was like, variety store? What the fuck is that? So a corner store. You go there, you know, you let them see your license and all that, and then they write down your information. You can rent tapes from the corner store. So we would do that. Me and my dad would do that all the time. But me and Richie and my little brother, we would go to video stores. We would go to we would go to Jumbo Video, Rogers Video. There was a few, like, kind of rinky-dink, what you might consider mom and pop shops that we'd hit up from time to time. But for the most part, it was Jumbo Video, because you could go into Jumbo. You still can. You can't get the free popcorn anymore, but back in the day, you go in there's a popcorn machine, you help yourself to a little bag of popcorn, walk around, browse the films. Now the popcorn, you could buy a bag for like, what, $8 or some bullshit like that. I mean, it's still cool to go through these video stores. I'm thankful they exist, but fortunately, when it comes to, like, collecting movies for me, like, I've basically got everything that I want, aside from a few things that I will get eventually, but I just really don't want to put out any kind of serious dough right now, you know what I mean? I'm satisfied with my collection. I'm still actively watching movies. You know, sometimes, you know, it's tempting. Shit gets released and you're like thinking, oh fuck, I'd love to get that. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff is pretty much only coming out with these super sick editions, but it's 4K. I don't have a 4K player, and I don't want to buy a bunch of 4Ks. I've already bought 3, but that's just because it was super cheap Argento, like deep red 4K. I think this was like $35. I'll pull this fucker out, why not? It's such a dope ass edition, like deep red, one of my favorite flicks. I've never watched this edition, and it comes with like a book, a poster, like a book with a spine, I might add, perfectly bound for all my fucking self-publishers out there, publicators. I will admit I am Uncle Edible tonight. I'm just ruining this piece of paper that's taped. Why the fuck is this thing even here? I don't know, but just leave it for now. Anyways, let's get into the Universal monster flicks. It should also be said that the next issue of Cinema 187 is going to be based on the Universal monsters in Hammer Horror. So if you want to get involved with that, you can check out the description of this video. So let's get into these tapes. These are from my dad's collection. These are the very movies that I grew up with. So up until I got the DVDs of some of these flicks, this is the only way I ever watched these movies. So we're going to start it off with sort of the one that, like, I have 5 tapes here. I do have a few more, but these were the ones that, like, we watched a lot. So The Wolfman from 1941, directed by George Wagner, starring, of course, Claude Rains, Lon Chaney Jr., Warren Williams, like Bela Lugosi's in this flick, Maria Ospakaya. I believe that's probably the little gypsy lady, but this movie freaked me the fuck out when I was a kid. I think I didn't really like that transformation scene. You know, like when it shows like the hair going, what's his name, Talbot or something? Larry Talbot. Yeah, this was the one that I think I wanted to watch the least, you know, and for the longest time, I felt like this movie felt different, and I think that's because there's a 10-year gap between my more favored films of the Universal monsters. I should also point out that the classic collection, this is like my favorite, you know, version of these tapes to collect at the time. Well, even though I only collected a few, I got like Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I was never the biggest fucking fan of. I know that could be blasphemy. I've had a good time watching it for the first time. My experience is very sentimental to me. Me and my dad, we taped The Blob and Creature from the Black Lagoon the same night. I've told that story a million times, but I have the bootlegs up there to prove it, to put my dad in prison for bootlegging. But but like Creature in like I like Wolfman better than the Creature from the Black Lagoon, but it's it's not like the best of the bunch as far as I'm concerned. This does have really good moments. The old lady always reminded me of my grandma. It's fucked up because the old lady in Bride of Frankenstein also reminded me of my grandma. So there's this whole weird thing with that, but still a must watch. Like this isn't like if you watch this and you expect like American Werewolf in London or like The Howling, like no, you're not going to get that. While I'm thinking about it, matter of fact, one of my favorite Universal monster flicks that I actually don't own in any way is The Old Dark House from 1932, which is fucking awesome. It's like the story of a bunch of strangers that meet up at this mansion. Like there's a huge storm and they're holed up in this mansion. Bela Lugosi's in there's like this, the retarded crypt keeper or whatever the fuck he's supposed to be, and he's sort of, there's a scene where the old lady says he's in the kitchen drunk, quite drunk. Love that shit. So Old Dark House, if I owned it, it would be on this fucking list. Let's keep it real. Frankenstein, 1931. Got that shit tatted on me for life. This to me is like what a horror film is. Like when I think of monster movies, horror film, Frankenstein, man, this is so good. Every scene in this film I absolutely love. Like my favorite moment in this film, like when I was rewatching it recently, is that opening scene where they wait for this funeral to be over, they dig up the body, and just all of that. It's like, there's, the moon's rising, there's no time to lose, like all that shit, and when he's like petting the fucking the coffin, and he's like, yes, there's gonna be life and all that shit, and I don't want to go into the full details of this. I just want to say this movie means a lot to me. The special makeup effects by I believe Jack Pierce did it. I'm pretty sure it was Jack Pierce, but yeah, this film was also directed by James Whale, I should mention. Amazing director. Boris Karloff, Colin Clive as Dr. Frankenstein, Mae Clark, John Bowles, Edward Van Sloan, of course, as like the professor guy who's also Van Helsing in Dracula, which we'll get to. So great performances all around. Great story. Obviously the scene where he throws the little girl into the water. I remember like when I was a kid, I remember thinking like, well, that wouldn't kill her. That wouldn't kill her. He throws her into the water, unless she like fucking mid throw into the water, she had like a fucking heart attack or something, then maybe. But it's a young kid we're talking about, all right? The arteries aren't clogged yet, okay? So you can't give me that. Although it is shocking for the time, 1931, you got a kid getting fucking violently thrown out. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so Frankenstein, 1931. God damn, it's good. Of course, you got to follow that up with The Bride of Frankenstein. This is the only movie to me that comes close to Frankenstein in terms of like a horror film. I think, personally, I would prefer, if someone said to me, hey, we're going to watch either Bride of Frankenstein or Frankenstein, what are we watching? I'm going to throw in Bride of Frankenstein, because I think even if you haven't seen the first Frankenstein film, most people know the story, and they kind of like recap it a little bit at the beginning of this flick. You get to see like that old lady that's like, the last part that burns the inside. Like that's like my grandma. It's fucking crazy scary, but great performances. Once again, directed by James Whale. Great performances. Boris Karloff, Colin Clive, Elsa Lanchester, who plays the Bride of Frankenstein. She also plays Mary Shelley in the beginning of this film, telling the story to a very like flamboyant guy. He's like, please tell us your story. I always fucking love that dude, man. I'm like waiting for that guy every time I pop this tape in, but really good stuff. This was not the copy of Bride of Frankenstein I watched as a kid. This is one that I found later on. The version of Bride of Frankenstein I watched was a bootleg up there. So I point up there because that's where all the old man's bootlegs are, because you got to keep them together or else they get disappointed. So one of my favorite parts of this film is definitely the interaction he has with that old man. And like you can tell, like he's like teaches him how to smoke, teaches him how to drink, eat, all that. And now for today's lesson, you know what I mean? And these guys show up and just fuck everything up on him. So really do enjoy this. Another standout scene, of course, Dr. Pretorius in this film, for fuck's sakes, when he's in the basement of that like catacomb or whatever, and he's smoking a cigarette and he's drinking liquor. He's got the bones all displayed and he's just laughing his ass off. I love that. I love that. And I love how he has like those little miniature people made up, and the one that looks like Dracula, he's like, looks like me. Or do I flatter myself? Pretorius, man. Who the fuck was that actor? I'm not sure who the actor was, but I can tell you right now, I believe he was also in The Old Dark House, which I mentioned earlier. Now, coming to our second last film, how could I not include this? 1932's, directed by Karl Freund, Boris Karloff in The Mummy. Holy fuck. People talk shit about this flick. I love this movie. I absolutely love it. I love the remakes with fucking Brendan Fraser and all that shit. There's no secret behind that. I've been made fun of by horror people about that before, and it's like, hey, you know, fuck off. So, yeah, really love this movie. Love the opening with this where it says, like, the title card, and it's like a little 3D pyramid. You know, I love how Boris Karloff looks while he's in the, you know, we don't see him long in that shit, but like when he's in the robes or the rags, whatever, really crazy stuff and spooky as hell. So, not for everybody apparently, but for me, this is one of the, you know, coolest movies from back when I was like, The Mummy, you know what I mean? It's so fucking dope. There's a couple sequels too. There's Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, I think The Mummy's Hand, that are universal, and then there's, of course, the Brendan Fraser flicks, and then there's like Dawn of the Mummy, and there's you know, there's The Mummy with Tom Cruise. There's a bunch of fucking mummy flicks out there, but enough of the mummy talk. Let's talk about, you know, the only other king of the monsters other than Godzilla. We've got Bela Lugosi, starring in, Jesus Christ, I'm a fucking loser right now. Is it Todd Browning, Dracula, Bela Lugosi's Dracula in 1931. This is the real fucking deal when it comes to you know, monster flicks. This movie looks like a monster flick. Now, I need to track down a copy of the Spanish Dracula. I want to watch that. I've seen it years ago. Like, I remember James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, he mentioned it years ago, said it was like better than the Lugosi, and I was like, no fucking way. So watched it back then. That's probably like 10 years ago, and I need to get a copy like from this output, you know what I mean? I want to do a review of it, of course, but yeah, this flick starring Bela Lugosi and Dwight Frye and Edward Van Sloan. Dwight Frye steals every fucking scene he's in, even when he's not being crazy in this flick. I think he's awesome. He also played Igor in, or Fritz, sorry, Igor. That's what is it, Mandela effect, where like everyone thinks that the little fucking guy's name is Fritz. No, or thinks it's Igor. It's Fritz. I think Igor was, fuck. It was like one of those like House of Frankenstein or like one of those types of flicks. But anyways, absolutely love Lugosi's interaction with Joe. Like the whole, like I love this entire movie, but if I had to like sum it up, my favorite shit from the very beginning up to when the boat lands at England, and like the cops like look down the fucking into the storage, and you see Dwight Frye looking up, and he's just like laughing, and the guy's like, look at him, he's gone insane. Why, the man's gone crazy. And he's just like, awesome, man, awesome. And of course, Lugosi and Dwight Frye like sharing that interaction by the fireplace, where he pours in the liquor, and he cuts his finger, and he's like, oh, it's just a paper cut. It's just a paper cut. I love that shit. Dwight Frye is the man. Died way too young and was in so many good flicks, man. So that's the Universal Monster films, man. All of these, except for The Bride of Frankenstein, these are the old man's OG tapes. So I will never let go of them. And yeah, this has been another episode of the VHS Graveyard. Come back for more. Not sure what the next topic will be, but I respect and appreciate everybody for watching. So 666 in the comments, and adios.